Is that what?
Why don't you go ahead and you click present, and while everyone's joining the meeting, we'll work on, and I'll add it to the screen. So that'll just kick us off to the side. If you present it, I still have to add it to the stage anyway. All right, I see. So this is what we see.
Yep.
Okay, amazing. All right, I'm going to remove it until we start talking so they can see your wonderful face, Scott, and who you are, because
Great.
they don't want to see me. They see me too much. So I love it. We'll give it another minute as we're still, it just hit the top of the hour. I see people starting to come in. So we'll give everybody another minute. I know it's live on LinkedIn as well right now. So welcome, everybody. While you are joining us today, go ahead and write in the chat where you're joining us from, and we would love to hear from you. All right, there's a few more. We'll give it 30 more seconds. Scott, where are you at right now?
I'm in Michigan.
You're in Michigan. You're
Grand
not too
Rapids,
far from
Michigan.
me. Oh, that's not too far. I'm in Ohio.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I love it. Tim, he doesn't count. He's way out there. Michael, you're from New Philadelphia, Ohio. I live in Bolivar. That is scary. You are like 10 minutes from me. That is very odd, guys. Argentina, hot dang, look at that. Texas, Canada, San Diego, Maine, Raleigh, North Carolina. Hi, Brian. Nice to see you. All right. I think we got enough interest, Scott. We're good to go. So everyone, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day to join us to hear more about this wonderful integration between SourceWhale and Crelate. I am so excited to introduce Scott to you. He's going to share exclusive insights from SourceWhale, give us some information about those 100 million messages that have been sent through, over 100 million messages that have been sent through SourceWhale. And they're truly a leading development and candidate sourcing platform. And he's going to talk about everything they have to offer. And then we're going to be able to answer those questions on how it works with Crelate, what you need to know, and hopefully we'll be able to answer any questions that you might have. So Scott, with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm going to share your screen and I'm going to be quiet.
Awesome. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Super excited to be here and super excited about the partnership with Crelate. And so today we're going to be talking about how to use AI and how to use automation to go out and really drive your business. Book as many meetings as possible, generate as much revenue as possible, whether it's on the sales side or the recruiting side. I'm going to go over some data points at first, and then I'm going to jump into the tool and I'm going to jump into the integration. Just some background on me. I'm the VP of Sales at SourceWhale, have been here for 2.5 years. And really, when I think about SourceWhale, our goal is simple. How do we help staffing and recruiting agencies drive more revenue? That's our main mission. And we do it in 2 ways. One way is by freeing up a lot of the manual things that they're doing right now. Think like data entry from LinkedIn, think follow-up emails, follow-up text messages, some of the monotonous things that are really bogging people in the industry down when they could be doing something way more important that actually generates revenue. And then the second thing that we do is we help our clients generate way more meetings through an outreach tool that encompasses automation and AI. And essentially, it reaches out to either candidates or prospects on a variety of different channels. And most people think about automation, they think about the email after email after email that they're getting in their inbox. Ours is much different in that it includes email as part of it, but also LinkedIn connection requests, LinkedIn in-mails, text messages. So as you're reaching out to prospects or candidates, you're hitting them in a variety of different ways that stands out, captures their attention, and ultimately books more meetings. And so through our tool, we have basically seen 100 million messages go through our tool. And what we're trying to do is constantly be in tune with, hey, what's working, right? Because we want to share that with our clients, say like, hey, this is working, you should do this. And so we've captured thousands and thousands of data points to try to figure out like, hey, like what are the main ingredients of reaching out to a prospect or a candidate that work? And so we've captured all of these data points by looking at the best, campaigns, the best messages, the best agencies, the best individual contributors. And what we've done is we've broken it down into four main things. So I'm going to get into the demo here in a little bit, but I think like even if you don't like our demo and you don't like our product, like taking something away here, like this is super data driven. And if you take something away here, it could help you in your day-to-day effort. And so in order to go out and book the most meetings, these are really the four key ingredients that we're seeing. One, multi-touch. You can't stop. You got to hit people over and over and over again until they say yes. It has to be through multiple channels. It can't just be through just email or just LinkedIn. You have to stand out by going across channels to say, hey, I'm a human. It can't just be canned and generic. It has to be specific to the person. If you can add personalization, definitely should, and it should be relevant. And there has to be scale to this, right? Like once we see what's working, you can't just do it every once in a while. There has to be a repeatable process. And once you dial in that repeatable process, then revenue becomes much more repeatable as well. So I'm going to talk about multi-touch, right? So one of the things that we're seeing is outreach with 3 touch points achieves 50% more meetings than one-step approaches. But the real thing that we're seeing in our platform is that when people are generating campaigns, and I'm thinking about like millions of meetings being booked through our tool, 71% of the meetings are happening on step 3 and after in a campaign when reaching out to a person. And I think it's really hard to get to step 3. I think like things happen, right? A client calls you, like your son or your daughter is sick or something just happens where it's really easy to get off track here. Right. And that's where we come in. Like we just ensure that like the follow-ups consistently happen. But thing about this is like when most people give up after step 3, like keeping on going is what's really going to go out and book the most meetings. And the other thing that we've seen, especially on the business development side, it seems unnatural and a lot, but we've seen that as you add steps in a campaign up to 8, the reply rate and the meeting rate is exponential, right? So 3 steps performs better than a 2-step on average, 4 steps performs better than a 3 until you get to 8. Once you get to 8, it does still increase, but the reply rate and the meeting rate slows down. So we really encourage people to get to 8 steps on a campaign. And even if you think that's crazy, even if you think that's too much, the way we think about it is if you're at 3, like, can you get to 5 and collect a few extra meetings that maybe you wouldn't otherwise get? The other thing that we're seeing is that leveraging 3 channels compared to 1 channel in a campaign doubles the meeting rate. And it just makes sense, right? Like if everyone here is inundated with automatic email after automatic email, it just doesn't stand out. Or someone reaches out to you on LinkedIn and you see another LinkedIn message from them and you look above it and there's 5 LinkedIn messages, like that doesn't stand out. But when you hit people through LinkedIn, through email, on call, all on text message, that really is differentiating yourself in the market. It's saying, hey, I'm a real person that truly wants to have a conversation with you and I'm doing everything possible. And so that definitely resonates with people and something I'd encourage everyone to do. The other thing that we're seeing is that if you include personalization in a campaign, like just one line, if you can, it basically you're going to get 2.5 times the amount of replies. And I'm not saying to personalize everything because it can be a challenge, but just like anything to just say I'm a human and not a robot, I think is really important. And then the last thing is quantity, right? Like I think people are up and down with quantity, especially when it comes to prospecting and recruiting too, right? Like it's just they're up, then they're down. Like they got a few people that I'm talking to. It's just really important to keep everything consistent to drive repeatable revenue, which I'm going to talk about is like how can we keep these numbers really, really sustainable with not a ton of work, time, effort, and attention. So before I jump in, I'm going to say like, we have this close partnership with Crelate. Really like the way we think about SourceWhale is we want to do everything outside of the CRM and basically talk really nicely with Crelate and have everything that you're doing outside of the CRM interact with Crelate. So for example, extension. One of the things we're going to get into is how does this interact with LinkedIn and how can I get data from LinkedIn, start a campaign, and then get that data at scale into Crelate in a really easy way. One of the things I'm going to show you. How can I find contact information? One of the things that we do. We also integrate with ZoomInfo, Apollo, all of these other data providers as well. We have some really tight integrations, but we also provide data. Outreach definitely going to be the main part of the show, right? AI, automation, conversations, thinking about like all of the calls and interactions that you're having. how do we take those, record the calls, take the important notes, and then automatically push that into Crelate so that as you're talking to people, you have full visibility into every conversation. Same with Note Taker, right? Like recording the calls that you're on, taking detailed notes based on AI and what you're looking for. Like, hey, anytime I talk to a candidate, I want minimum salary requirements. I want their location. I want this. I want that all to push into Crelate. And I want a copy of the recording so that I can have full visibility into every conversation my team's having. Data refresh sits on top of Crelate. How can I keep the records that I'm having up to date constantly so that I'm not missing an opportunity? Does one of your current clients move to a new company? Is that a new opportunity now, right? Does someone that you placed 5 years ago, did they just move into a hiring role where they could potentially be a client, right? Just having full visibility into what's going on as almost like triggers of the right time to reach out. And then inbox agent, something that helps you manage open opportunities. So I'm going to try to cover most of these, but it's all intertwined. It's all intertwined with Crelate. And so I am going to jump in here. Tim, Courtney, any questions before I rock here and just jump into the demo?
No questions at all. We're really excited. I know that a lot of folks in the audience, I'm seeing a lot of familiar names and things like that. I know anything you could do to emphasize, you pulled up LinkedIn right away, like what you're doing sort of for messaging and the multi-channel approach that includes LinkedIn, obviously going to be super appealing to, I think, everyone that's in our audience right now. But yeah, just excited to see sort of all of it.
Great. I'm going to show different versions of campaigns, and there's really two parts to our product, okay? There's the extension, and the extension lives wherever you're finding contacts. And I think broadly, we could say a lot of people are relying on LinkedIn, probably everyone on this call. So our extension is going to sit on top of LinkedIn to deploy a campaign, but it's also going to sit on top of a data provider like a ZoomInfo or Apollo. It's going to sit on top of Crelate. I want to run a campaign towards current clients or towards potential candidates. And so I'm going to show you some flavors of the extension, and then I'll jump into the back end, talk about how we can build a campaign that's really performs at a high level. So I'm going to pretend like Harry is an interesting, I'm going to pretend like he's a candidate right now, but it works the same if they're a prospect or a candidate. I'm going to click open the extension. When I click open the extension, you're going to notice first name, last name, job title, all of the basic information. But there's all of these Crelate symbols sort of hit me in the face, which is an indication to me that this person already lives in my data set so that I don't have to toggle back and forth and try to understand, have we reached out to this person or not? And if they are in your data set, all of the contact details that you have for that individual are going to be displayed here because, again, we're going to want to run a multi-channel, multi-touch campaign, and we need some of these data points, as well as any prior activity, right? So I can get a full sense of what this person's all about. There's bidirectional sync with Crelate without having to toggle back and forth. So I can quickly and easily decide, hey, did I reach out to this person and talk to them last week? Or is this someone I haven't engaged with in years? Like, what is the flavor of the conversation to decide, one, is this person worth reaching out to? And two, like, can I leverage something from a past conversation to hopefully catch his or her attention to book that meeting? Now, if you're looking at a person on LinkedIn and there weren't these Crelate symbols, well, there would be no contact information, there would be no activity, right? So like we'd be taking a fresh approach. For what it's worth, we do offer data. We partner with 10 different data providers. We partner with data providers that focus on free mail addresses for recruiting. We partner with data providers that focus on cell phones and business emails. So if you find emails, right, we're going to give you an email for what you're looking for. If you want to find phone numbers, we can. But we also integrate with data providers where it could say your data provider here if you just want to use what you have and you're happy with it, or you pop out the ZoomInfo extension, it would read the screen and populate the data here. Now from here, I'm going to start a campaign towards this person, and I'm going to do a candidate campaign. And I'm just going to give you a sense of how it works and how this is going to run. So when I bring this up, the entire campaign is off to the right-hand side. I have mine starting out with an email, but this can be whatever you want. Good time of day, Harry. Harry is in London. It's going to say good evening. If I sent this to someone in California, it's going to say good morning. Just something that gives it the human touch to just say, hey, like I'm a real human. And we have a lot of variables like this. From here, most people think about automation as like blast a bunch of emails and get very little replies. But I was saying earlier that personalization is key. So we can add little bits of flair here and there so that Harry gets really specific messages just for him. And so I saw that he's had a conversation with my colleague Tim, right? Like saw you spoke with Tim 6 months ago. and timing was off, right? Like something that's just like, hey, like we have some sort of a dialogue, or I know something about you. Now, if I hit add to campaign at this point, if Harry was new into Crelate, it would add his profile automatically. And then the email would go out from your outbox and the campaign would kick off. At any point in this campaign, if I get a reply, that person's automatically removed from the campaign. Okay. So let's say Harry doesn't reply to this first step. My next step is connection request. Hi, first name. I sent you an email. In this case, it would say yesterday, but I also wanted to connect here to put a face to an email address. If that doesn't get a connection, I've got a phone call built in. Now, my steps, like they could be whatever steps you want. I'm just showing you an example campaign. So like if you have a great flow that you feel good about, you could put that in there, right? Or if you wanted to add different steps, you could as well. So I've got a phone call. After the phone call, if that doesn't get a reply, I've got it set up to just send a text messages right after. Hey, Harry, Scott SourceWhale here. I just tried calling you. You open to connecting Monday or Tuesday. And so basically the way you can think about this is all of these steps are going to go out, and as people are replying, they're going to automatically get removed. So if I've got a search and I add 50 people to this campaign and I get 5 replies here, well, only 45 are going to get the next step. And it's just going to get smaller and smaller and hopefully really small by the end, where you've just got a ton of responses and positive feedback. But as you're doing something else more important, all of these things are working in the background. You can get really crazy and put images and GIFs, whatever you really want to put. Me reaching out to Harry about the CTO role. But again, we're talking about multiple steps and how things fall through the crack. This just ensures that there's consistent outreach going out so that you're booking as many meetings as possible.
If I could chime in with a quick question, for telephony and text there, is that using an integrated partner, or is that something you guys are offering?
So we have our own VoIP dialer built into the platform. That is an option. Otherwise, you can make calls yourself. To automate texting, you would have to use our VoIP dialer, but it's really inexpensive in relation to any provider that you could really get.
Excellent.
One thing I failed to mention, right? I can sync this as a candidate or a client. When I'm building my campaign, I probably do this. You can say like, hey, I want to build this. Like I want them to automatically flow as candidates. But if I did, any fields that were important to you in Crelate, I can map back into Crelate here. So we don't have to like push a bunch of data into Crelate and then go back and map them or attach them to a job. Like any field that you have in Crelate that you want pushed back, we could do that on the front end or when you're building a campaign. Now that's one individual on LinkedIn, but the same sort of idea applies to broader list as well on LinkedIn. So if you're looking at a list of 25, I think about like the painstaking process of going back and forth, like, hey, have we communicated with these people? Are these great people? But if I'm looking at 25 people, I could just say like, okay, here are all the people that are new. But right here, I can hit select all, next. And instead of, doing this one at a time, it's just going to align to the list. So good time of day, Michael. Good time of day, Naveen. It's just going to go right down the list. And so instead of doing it once, I could say, hey, I want to add all these people to a campaign. All of the emails are going to go to your outbox. All of the people are going to push into Crelate. If you did want to map them accordingly with key data points, you could do that. And then in one fell swoop, you're pushing 25 people in at once and starting a campaign.
Excellent.
Another version of the extension, right? Like you have all of these candidates, you have all of these clients that you want to interact with, right? Like your data set is very valuable, so like how do we constantly nurture it and stay in touch with it and make it more valuable, right? Like how is it easier to use? And that's really where the extension comes in too, over the top of Crelate. So right here, I've got, again, James D. I don't know if that's like a real name, but it just aligns down the list. And instead of thinking about this for just broad people outside of my database, I can go here and start sending emails here. And I could do something like, maybe like a stale client, right? Like, hey, these people haven't given us a role in 6 months, and thinking about like, how can I use automation, not just for cold prospecting or cold candidates, but to stay in touch with people, to ask for referrals, variety of different ways that you can get creative and use this. I've got a question from Lauren here. Okay. So I'm just going to take it. I've heard that LinkedIn is cracking down on automatic in-mails and connect requests. Are the in-mails connects in sequencing automatically sent, or are we prompted via a task reminder? It is a task reminder, but it's semi-automated as to not violate LinkedIn's terms and services. And I'll certainly show you that. Okay. Sweet. I am going to jump into the back end here, and I wasn't going to go here now, but I might as well because Lauren asked the question. Okay. Let me, I'm going to do one quick thing here. Bear with me 1 second. So every morning you're going to come into SourceWhale. Well, honestly, you're not going to spend much time in the back end of the platform. Most of the time is going to be in Crelate or on LinkedIn, like really the places that you live now, your data provider. But to action the calls and the LinkedIn tasks, you will have to come to this system. At 7:45 a.m. every morning, you're going to get an email that says, hey, you have 10 connection requests, 15 in mails, something like that. Now, if I go to my to-dos and go to my connection request, I will show you the semi-automated process. Anything that is fully automated does violate LinkedIn's terms, and our entire client base uses LinkedIn, and that is important that we don't mess with their terms or mess with your access. So we've got a pretty seamless process here. So I'm going to go, and I see we've got a bunch. I'm going to click on Thomas, and when I do, it's going to take me right to his profile. And what you're going to see is this little SourceWhale ticker is going to pop open on the left-hand side here. All I do is hit copy message, connect, add note, paste, whatever variables, whatever campaign copy I use. Hi, first name. It looks like you and the team at company name are doing some cool things. This is a demo, so it's the most generic vanilla message I could ever send. Yours is going to be a little more hard hitting, hopefully leveraging like a past reach out. When I hit send, it's sent. Marking is done, logs it automatically into Crelate or the CRM that you're using, and it automatically brings up the next person. Right, so I get in this nice flow of copy message, connect, add note, paste, send. Mark is done, and all of these activities are logging into Crelate, but I can also whip through a ton of connection requests, a ton of in-mails really quickly, and it's the same process for in-mails.
And a key takeaway there, gang, is that it's automatically logging back to Crelate. Like, we'll look at this in Crelate in a second, but today, if you're using Crelate sequencing engine and you have LinkedIn, it is a reminder. You go out and send your in-mail, and then you can come back and log the fact that you sent your in-mail or your message in Crelate. This is automatically pushing that activity back to the system. It's going to save a ton of time.
Yeah, exactly. Like no task. Like our whole thought is like task management takes time, right? And so it's like, if I see a task, I got to pop it open. I got to go to their LinkedIn profile. I've got to send my message. And then I push the task out 3 to 5 days. And those just add up. And then they start to add up a lot once, you're sick for a day or something happens. So no task management. It just, you get through this, everything logs, and you have full visibility into everything that's going on. Phone calls, similar sort of idea, right? I go to my person and I'm taken here. If you have any sort of a dialer or you want to use your cell phone, by all means, like you could right click it if you use a dialer and call that person. You call on your cell phone. We do have a system that would automatically record the calls, take the notes that you wanted in your format based on how you prompt it. Like, hey, I want these specific things from all of the calls. And you could use our dialer and it would record the calls and push that into Crelate as well, but it's not needed. What is needed though is logging a call outcome after you stop talking to the person, right? So let's say that person didn't answer and I hit no answer. It would automatically log that into Crelate that you called them, they didn't answer, and it would automatically pop open the next person, right? So I just get in this nice flow of like, even if I called this guy on a cell phone or on my cell phone, didn't answer, log call outcome, no answer, it just pops open the next person so I can get through these call tasks extremely quickly.
Are these call tasks? There's a question that we had a couple of minutes ago from someone in the audience. Can you also dial from within Crelate, like on that right-hand panel? Is VoIP in there for them to just quickly make a phone call?
You could right click it and use our VoIP to call them right there with our VoIP dialer, or if you have a cell phone, you could just call them, right? It's just not going to log the same way unless you were using our dialer. The only way it would log is under that section if you were using a different dialer.
I think the question came from them using your dialer, but instead of being in this interface, in the Crelate interface, making the call.
Scott, there's one other question. How do we know which opportunity it logs the activity to? She goes, apologize if I missed that.
Yeah. So like if I'm here on this person's profile and like you have an opportunity on an individual, okay, I'm just going to do a quick campaign towards this person. I'll do a BD campaign. Right here, you see these fields, HubSpot, like we use HubSpot here, so that's why you're seeing HubSpot now, but you would see Crelate. If opportunity was a field that you have, right, under that person, you could just say like, you could just go there, and these fields that I'm looking at here are going to align to that field that you have in your CRM or in Crelate, okay? So if
Thank you.
opportunity is a field under the individual, we'll do that.
Thank you so much.
Cool. In regards to calls, we want to make sure you're making the highest value calls. Live feed, it's telling you who's opening up these emails with recency. Like, did someone just open up your email 2 minutes ago? Great person to call because they're more likely to be sitting at your desk and your name is more likely to resonate. And then we also have hot list. Hot list is like who's engaging in your content a lot, right? So this person has opened up an email 6 times. It's like they're more likely to know your name. They're more likely to be interested in what you have to be and what you have to say. And I don't see anything on here now, but one of the other things that I think is interesting is we have anyone that opens up an email that was sent 30 days ago. So like on the BD side, maybe you were hitting someone at the wrong time. They were happy with their internal recruiter, but maybe a bunch of roles piled up and they're not getting anywhere, right? And they're starting to look for recruiters and they're looking at their inbox, right? Like that's just going to tell you like, hey, they're going into emails from an email that you sent 3 months ago. Just great information. Same with candidates. Maybe they weren't in the market, but now they're, looking at some of the things like an old email or looking for recruiters. Just a great way to know like, hey, it's the right time to make a call because you only have time to make a certain amount of calls and some people don't make any calls. And like our whole thing is calls work. So like, how can we just point you to the absolute best people that like you just feel good about, that you feel like you have a great shot with, that are more likely to pick up the phone, know your name, know why you're calling, that you can have a great conversation with. Last thing I'm going to leave you with is like AI, tons of AI built in. Like if I click on any of these people, it's going to give me a full background of what they're all about. I can ask AI like, hey, give me an icebreaker. What was our last conversation about? But I'm going to talk about AI campaign building because I think that's like the biggest barrier to entry for people is like, how do I start? How do I think about campaigns? And I think our AI writer writes amazing content. Okay. So I'm going to go to campaigns and I'm going to just do a new campaign. When I'm doing a new campaign, I'm going to use campaign AI and I'm going to gear the AI in a certain direction. And again, because we're built just for staffing and recruiting agencies, like our AI is different. It's not like ChatGPT and writing something that's trying to work for insurance and software. It's just trying to work for software and recruiting. Anytime a message gets sent from our platform that leads to a meeting being booked, we take like the non-identifying information and the bones of that email and we try to learn from it. Like, hey, what does that look like other messages being sent? So in this case, I'm going to pitch a candidate here and I'm going to do an email, a phone call, a text message, connection request, and an email. How many steps do I want in my campaign? I want it to be 8 and I want it to be over the next 26 days. When I hit continue, it's going to ask me to prompt it. Okay, so tell me about this person. Right. And then right from here, I can go in and I've got some information on a sales rep here. So I can go in and put all of this information into the prompts. I'm going to select a casual tone and then I'm going to hit generate campaign. And in about 30 seconds, you're going to get an 8-step campaign over 26 days that's being driven by data from messages that are actually working in the industry. And it's not perfect, but I think it is better than like what it's better than me for sure. Like I think I think you could write better than pretty much like 90% of people, right? So hey, first name, reach out because I thought you'd like to hear about this truly standout rep I represent. They've hit President's Club 3 years in a row, including this year. Outperform quota as like it's taking some of the variables. Happy to share more if you're curious, right? If that doesn't get a response, just following up my note, and I can change these, right? Like so if they're a little bit off and you want to tweak a few things, but if you wanted to create a campaign like this by yourself, even if you were good, it would still take you 30 minutes. This is just a great place to start. And now if I create campaign, I can just so easily take this candidate that I want to take out to market and just go based on the data that's working right now. So.
And this will tie back into, again, Crelate. So all of your NPC workflows and things like that inside of there that you're doing this candidate activity on, and the companies that you're marketing that person to, all of that activity is going to be in Crelate for you automatically.
I know that we are coming on time, but we still have a full audience. I don't think we've dropped off any, if any. So if anybody has any additional questions, Scott, I don't know if you have anything else to show, feel free to throw them in the chat. If you want to learn more and want to have a more in-depth demo with Scott and the SourceWhale team, I also put the link in the chat so you can directly click that to book a demo. What else? Tim, do you have anything else to add from the Crelate side? Scott, do you have anything else to add that we haven't talked about?
There's a lot, right? But I know we're late
Go
on
in 30
time.
minutes. Yes.
Yeah. I don't want to keep people for an hour, but like I think some of the things that we didn't talk about, like data refresh, is always interesting for people, especially for people that are going after higher level roles. And then our note taker, which I think when you're getting everything recorded from every interaction that you're having, from a meeting to a phone call to an email to a LinkedIn, when we can start making Crelate rich with more and more data, that's where the tool becomes really powerful, because it helps us craft follow-up messages. It shows us opportunities like, hey, here's a great time to reach out to that person because they said to reach out now because this project would be starting. It's just everything becomes more powerful because it just becomes so much more data rich, and the AI just works so much better at that point. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of folks in the audience that would be interested in the AI note taker and things like that. Anybody that wants to book a demo, feel free to scan the QR code or shoot Scott a message, or feel free to come through me and I'll pull Scott and team in, and we can sort of co-demo Crelate and SourceWhale together, however you guys would prefer and whatever you're most comfortable with.
Right. Amazing. Thank you, both gentlemen, for sharing your wonderful knowledge and expertise. So I can't wait to see how many people are interested to drive more. Mary Lou said something. I create planning on packing. This is an option of their business subscription. I asked them, it seems like they're super enhanced dashboard. It seems like some of us already have sequencing and Ring Central connectors, etc.
So this is an example of, so Crelate has a lot of sequencing and things like that. When you want to sort of look at a best in breed technology, you look at a SourceWhale that can do a lot of different things in a lot of channels that typically a recruiting platform like Crelate wouldn't necessarily have options with. We mentioned LinkedIn in terms of service. We don't need to go into all of that stuff, but there are some things there that a tool like SourceWhale that only focuses on kind of these aspects, outreach, campaigning, messaging, things like that, they're going to be able to do that might take it a step further. Now, again, if for basic sequencing and things like that, Crelate's fantastic for most people. And we have a lot of people who can use both, right? So it just depends on what channels you're looking and how much time essentially you're spending doing those things that you might rely on a tool like SourceWhale to automate for you.
I got a question.
The last question was about pricing. Do you want them to reach out to you for pricing?
I got my daughter who just came home from gymnastics. She's just like, hey. So pricing, the way we sell it was I popped open all of these modules, right? All of them have a different price. When we're working with someone, not everyone needs a note taker. Not everyone needs VoIP, right? And so some people just need to get data into Crelate at scale. So everything is customizable based on what you need. So it's really hard to say, right? And it's obviously scales as you add more users.
No, I completely understand. Thank you for that. Joel, hopefully you can scan that QR code to get more information to see what's best for your business. So can't wait. If you guys have any more questions, again, there's the link. There's also his QR code. Can't wait. If you guys have any more questions, you can watch this replay as well. If you go back to this link, you'll be able to access it at a later time as well if you want to share with your team. So thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful day. Scott, thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.